Hello and welcome back to the How I Ripped Off Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast. My name is Chip Thompson and I'm joined as always by MC.
That would be me.
And this is, well, season 2 of Chip, technically. But as you may know, if you have actually listened to the podcast, if you haven't, I don't know why you're starting here, this is weird. But you will know that I never actually finished writing the series.
The greatest tragedy since the burning of the library of wherever the fuck, Alexandria, whatever it was.
Sure.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I never actually finished it. So last week we went through the notes I had for the end of season 1 of Chip. Which was more really sort of comprehensive, like this is exactly what's going to happen in the episode.
It was done in bullet points. It was like plot points bit by bit.
Exactly, which raised some questions, answered a few.
Not many.
But what did happen last time, MC?
Oh my god, what did happen? It was the showdown. That was the big showdown with the one, the only Grant Maloney, of course.
Best villain ever.
Yeah. So it looked like this was a while ago now, because we've recorded some stuff in between, so I've forgotten it all.
And now we got ill.
Yeah. The corona as well. So, yes, it looked like Kat had turned, didn't it? And was working for Grant Maloney. Chip and... No, so it was Ridley and Kat got into a scrap.
Yeah.
While simultaneously Chip was fighting a big robot.
Yeah, a robot ninja.
Yeah.
Which I'm really sad we never got to fully explore, because that sounds awesome.
We could have done like a shitty voice effects, like a robot effect, or if it had any lines. And if it didn't have any lines, we would have to give it lines.
Yes.
And obviously ripped off like RoboCop and Terminator. But yes, it turns out that Grant Maloney tried to recruit Chip as well, dangling a cure for mysterious amulet plague curse.
Yeah, that all gets a bit weird when we get into Tamara Gayson as well. But he wanted... Grant Maloney was so powerful, he conquered the known world, that he wanted to conquer the supernatural world, even though apparently he had a spaceship where he could go into other dimensions and steal viruses. But he wanted more, MC. He wanted more. I do wonder if we would have learnt more about all kind of that vagueness if I had written the actual episodes. Or possibly not, because we know how my writing was back then. So what today's episode is going to be... Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. So Chip obviously did the right thing and didn't... blah, 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 blah. Kat, turned out, was playing Grant Maloney like a fiddle, just to take him off guard or something.
Yeah, she was essentially created by Maloney as well. Yeah.
And then... What happened to Grant Maloney?
Chip doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
Because Chip's all like, no, I'm actually good now, which is Chip's kind of redemption somehow.
Yeah.
But then Kat is like, bothered, and then breaks his neck or kills him somehow.
Sure.
And Kat's like, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And which is kind of cool.
The end.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just as we think the new gang have come together.
Yeah. The police come along, right? And they shoot Chip.
Yeah, Detective Jack Bentley.
That was the one.
Who knew he was so corrupt? Shoots Chip, and it ends with Chip passing out on the back seat as he bleeds from his numerous bullet wounds.
It's fine though, it's just bullets.
I think he got shot a fair amount.
He got shot a bunch of times by Tifa before, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's smart.
But her bullets were dumb, so
They forget which way to go.
But it was, I mean, without you ruining it there, it was a big cliffhanger for the end of the season.
It was. Is he going to survive?
I mean, season 2 is going to be pretty short if he doesn't. And what today's episode is going to be is, all I have is a few pieces of lined A4 paper with some really rough notes and ideas about how season 2 would have gone. And clearly I would have written these before I finished writing the end of season 1.
Right.
So I would have had a rough idea of where I was going with it and what I wanted to do. Because I think at this point, there was only going to be 2 seasons of Chip, and then the whole thing was going to come to an end. There was going to be a big like movie spin-off ending, but we'll get to that eventually. So I had an idea of how I wanted to finish it.
Okay.
So it'd be interesting to see if there's any hints in these papers about that, and just see what would happen with Chip, Ridley, and Kat going into season 2. So let's find out, MC, as we get into Chip season 2.
3, 2. Yes. I've lost count.
It's over soon, don't worry.
Thank God. Let it end.
And we begin, MC, Chip Series 2 Ideas.
And there's an apostrophe in the ideas. Just start off the very first line with a stupid typo.
Yes. It took me a long time to learn how to use an apostrophe. And it's underlined, so you know it's serious. Chip in prison, first episode. Okay, so Chip survives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's in prison. Possibly for
Doing
robbing
some
a bank.
of the known crimes.
I mean, he could be in for a few things like robbing the bank, murder of Maloney and various other things. Maybe they even framed him for the terrorist attack or something. Like, yeah, we know what Bentley's like. He loves a frame job.
Oh, he does. Put a dead prostitute in Chip's apartment.
He gets bailed out, discovering it was the reformed mafia that paid the money.
Who are the reformed mafia?
So we might get back into this a bit more, but that has reminded me that one of the sort of new characters that was going to be introduced was the mafia in New York, who Chip has had dealings with before. Remember the sewer?
Oh, do?
And the Costa.
The career advice, yeah.
This was going to be an idea of the mafia going straight.
Are they still the mafia at that point? Like, are they just a business?
I don't know. Well, at least they would have started as the mafia, and they were like, we're going to use all our connections and power to do good things.
Okay, sure. This is like there have been action films where you have like cool mafia guys, like they have all the glamour of that sort of organised crime, Goodfellas kind of thing, but you're allowed to like them because they don't kill people anymore.
Well, they only hurt the people that deserve it, or some bollocks that people go on about nowadays. Yeah, so I think it was going to be something like that, but it was really a case of like, oh, can you trust them though? Because they are the mafia.
Okay, sure.
So just imagine a lot of, like big American Italian stereotypes.
Right.
Imagine me ripping off Goodfellas, basically. Right. You're almost there. So this reformed mafia have paid to get Chip out though. But if he's already been sentenced, you can't bail someone out then.
Yeah, but like,
if he's awaiting trial,
this is your understanding of the American legal system via television, which is where you can do literally anything and you get bailed out.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they bribed the jury or something to get him out
because they're still the mafia, even though they're reformed. But they're allowed some crimes
for the greater good.
Yes,
crime for the greater good is their new slogan.
What could go wrong? Maybe it's the thing where they feel kind of forced out of New York because of all the demons and vampires and stuff. So this is their way of sort of fighting back.
That'd be interesting. Because there was a whole thing about how the mayor of New York had forced them back into the Bronx. And
yeah?
The episode where Ridley is following Bentley around.
Right.
We talk about how the mafia...
Oh, the mafia. I thought you meant the demons.
Oh, sorry.
Like the mayor had unveiled a new campaign. He got elected. I'm going to drive those demons back into the Bronx.
What a mayor, though. He got rid of the mafia, got rid of the demons. I'd vote for him.
I hope you don't live in the Bronx, though, because it's basically just mafia and demons at this point.
They tell Chip they are looking to change and want to employ Chip. They are looking to stop the demon underworld. So you weren't far off, to be honest. Like, maybe they feel like the demons are cutting in on their crime or their turf or something.
Hey, those are our crimes. So you know they're bringing in new known crimes. 4 crimes? Who can keep track of that?
So kind of mafia versus demons, which I'm totally here for.
Which sounds like a film that already exists.
It might already exist, yeah. A change is being felt. Something different and new could lead to an apocalypse.
Oh my god. I'm just sick of apocalypses at this point.
Well, we haven't had one in Chip before. Chip's thing wasn't really about apocalypses.
True.
Apocalypse size?
Sure.
Yeah, about the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't really a thing last season. It was very much a fairly kind of local deal with New York.
Yeah, that's true.
But you got to have an apocalypse. And the stakes, like what stakes are you going to have? You can't just be about the mafia versus the demons. Ultimately, the mafia haven't changed. They're using Chip for their own purposes, but do give good info.
The exposition things. And
yeah.
That quasi... This is the first... Well, not the first time, but this is an exposition source that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they can use all their connections and stuff to get the information, and because their own selfish purposes align with Chip's goals as well, so it would make sense for them to feed him the info as well.
Yeah.
So that actually isn't dumb.
Well,
I mean, if
not
you
as dumb
overlook,
as we could have been.
If you overlook Mafia versus Demons and the Ninja...
Do you know what else makes sense as well?
Yeah.
Is that we had a whole thing in season 1 where Chip was trying to find a job and couldn't, so had to rob a bank.
Yeah.
But now he's like...
All been there.
But now he's working for the mafia, so it's fine. But I imagine they're going to fill that role, like you said, where it's either Ridley or Shinno-Khan who turns up and goes, hey, there is a demon over here, you should go and kill it, but we'll pay you for this one or something. Or maybe he's on a retainer.
I'll give you $10.
But yeah, we said here, they haven't changed. They're just using Chip for their own purposes.
In a way, I mean, obviously, if the mafia get their stranglehold over New York again, that's not great. But is it potentially better than demons?
Maybe
Lesser
that was
of
going to
two
be
evils?
Maybe that was going to be the argument of it. I'm not sure I would have had the intelligence to pull that off back then. But yeah, I think it's kind of that. And I think the thing about these notes is they're not going to be in any sort of order. It's not going to, it's weird to talk about. But hey, the mafia are actually bad in the second paragraph. Yeah. But this is just like free flowing ideas that was spewing out of my brain hole. Maybe a love interest with one of the mafia's daughters.
Ooh.
Who in the end fucks him around for a vampire who Chip kills.
Okay. Sure. There's a love triangle. Mafia daughter, reformed ninja, vampire.
So maybe that's how the mafia semi-convinced Chip. Like maybe he kind of fell for one of the female mafia people. But then she fucks him around for a vampire. I just love that I've written that.
Fucks him around for a vampire. All been there, haven't we? Yeah.
Just like stuff in my first heartbreak at that point. That's how I was like, fucking a vampire, I'll kill you.
If you were a vampire, I'd kill you.
Chip is also looking to discover who he is. During his prison time, he realised he's never questioned anything in his life.
Whatever.
Why did I try and end the world? I don't know. After his family was killed and he moved to Tokyo with a strange old guy to learn martial arts. So this is kind of tying into what the theme of this season and season 5 of Tomorrow Gayson and the ending was going to be. Is kind of Chip is the one that kind of realises that it was a way of trying to logically explain the dumbness of the first season. Sure. They trained for a year.
Yeah.
And now he's questioning, it's like, it only took us a year to become supernatural powered ninjas.
Yeah.
And kind of tying that into the law and him going like, that's dumb. How did that happen?
You do start breaking the fourth wall all the time and just Chip questioning the stupidity of everything.
It's not so much the stupidity of it, but almost him questioning why he never questioned it and kind of spotting something nefarious in there.
Okay.
And investigating the coup claw as well.
Ooh.
Also, while he's put together quite nicely,
I'll say,
he has super strength and learned all his deadly moves within a year. This isn't right. He knows this and wants to find out why. This also stems off into that Chip actually enjoyed his time in prison, keeping away from his true calling as a ninja.
So it's like a crisis of identity sort of thing, like not just in terms of how did this ninja happen, but whether he wants to be a ninja.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been a happy time for him.
No, he hasn't had the best few. None of them have, really.
Yeah.
Even like Jay and Louise and all that, like, since they've been swept up in all this coup claw business, nothing good has really come of it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I was looking to explore. I don't know why I remember this so vividly. But yeah, just questioning that. And saying Chip enjoyed his time in prison is because he probably just didn't have to go off and fight.
To chill. Yeah,
just to chill out and read a book.
Some books, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Okay, well, how do we get arrested? This is also why he decides to work for the mafia.
Ah.
Ridley is 2-1, who in the end helps him to realise this.
Okay.
Realise what? What is...
I don't know if it... whether it's realising about the weirdness of his mafia powers. He becomes a super-powered mobster as well.
With his mafia healing!
Oh, whether he realises the strangeness of how he became powerful so fast, or why that's he realising that he doesn't really want to be a ninja anymore, and the prison was an escape for it, and working for the mafia was an escape for it. Is that what Ridley helps him realise?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like Ridley could help him realise a few things. He is exposition guy, so it could be like, oh, hey, Chip, how come you've never questioned what happened to you? Hey, Chip, how come you've never considered the mafia might be using you? Hey, Chip, how come you've never bought me a hot dog? Overall story is that Chip and MC have been killing so many things that hell is getting too full and having to release more and more evil things.
That's pretty badass. When there's no more room in hell, the dead shall walk the earth.
Yes! Yeah, I think it was probably ripping off that quite a bit as well.
But it is pretty fucking badass that they killed so many demons. Hell's like, no, mate, sorry, we're full. Go on, mate. Off to earth with you.
So is hell like a conveyor belt where like the new evil things come in, but they have to chuck some out the back because they're too full up? Chip realises the world would be better off without the Coup Claw. In brackets, final spin-off episode.
Ooh, does he fight the Coup Claw?
We'll get there. We'll get to that. So this is a bit upsetting. On her 18th birthday, Chip kills the vampire.
Oh, so he shacks up with a 17-year-old.
Because it's not weird, because when I wrote this, I was 17.
Yeah.
But I don't know how old Chip the character is.
Yeah. he did his ninja training when he was 12.
Were they actually 15 when they did it?
No, because they were fucking married. Well, MC was, anyway.
Okay.
Were you trying to go through the sort of, like, innocent... Like, although she's the daughter of a mafia, she seems all innocent, and her being... underage.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But I guess...
Chip was a nonce, it's canon now. Hey, it's not just Louise. Don't worry, Louise. Chip is right there with you.
Well, now we know why he was in prison, really. Oh, God. I really do wonder if I tried to retcon his age at some point, or maybe he was like 22 or something.
Yeah.
Because when I started this, I would have been 15.
Yeah.
So I really think at that age, when I think of like an 18, 19-year-old, I'm like, oh my God, they're so grown up, they're so old.
Yeah, and 22 is like, well, you've already done everything.
Yeah, you'll be dead soon, basically. So I do, maybe they are meant to be like 18 or something when they start, because I think I've thought of that as a grown-up age or something. I mean, I started writing this at 14, 15.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I think just because I'm writing it now, I'm like, oh, Chip's like 28 or something in this, and I'm like, on her 18th birthday, what?
No, that's actually her older sister.
Also, when Chip discovers the mafia are cunts, very professional notes I kept back then. Also, when Chip discovers the mafia are cunts, he tries to take her away, but she is with the vampire dude.
It's fucking Twilight. You ripped off Twilight before it was a thing. Like a teenage girl with a 200-year-old vampire or whatever.
Wait, does that mean Stephanie Meyer ripped off me?
Yes.
Oh my God. Although this isn't as much... She's got enough money. Yeah. But clearly, Chip isn't as much as a pedo as Jacob is in that. So that's nice. That's comforting.
Or are you ripping off Angel? Because Angel, like... shacks up with Buffy when she's 16 or whatever.
And that's very sort of like, when you think about it. I think all Buffy fans just be like, let's just ignore that.
Didn't even register when I was watching it.
Well, no, because we would have been young at the time.
Exactly.
So, but now we look back and we're like, Angel's like 237 or something.
And you're like, what a lucky bitch. God, I wish I was a 16-year-old girl. I guess the other thing, just to continue justifying your paedophilia, is that in Buffy and Angel, although the characters are young, they're always played by adults.
Yeah,
they're like 25 or something.
Yeah. And there's also a thing as
Your
well
Honor.
when in season 1 of Angel, when Cordelia and Doyle kind of almost get together.
Yeah. And she's like 18 or something.
Yeah, she's about 18, 19 at that point, and he must be Well, I don't know if Doyle's age is ever really established, but I think it was something like he's meant to be in his like mid-20s, but he looks like he's in his early 30s.
Yeah.
And that was also a bit uncomfortable when you go back as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think my idea of relationships and that sort of thing was very screwed up thanks to TV and film. The idea is that fate, or whatever you want to call it, is real. Free choice is out of the window. All the big decisions are made for us. This is why Chip has never questioned anything in his life. Okay. So he was destined to be a crime-fighting ninja who tried to destroy the world.
Yeah.
And
I never really liked predestination as a plot point because it takes away the character's agency, and it's sort of all their struggles and stuff are kind of pointless in a way because it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
and,
exactly. Yeah, and it's like, can you change fate?
Yeah.
What's the thing from Terminator?
Yeah.
The fate you make is the fate that is the fate.
Yeah, that's the one. Doesn't Terminator go back and forth, though? It's like, you can't change fate. Oh, maybe you can. Nope, you can't.
Well, Terminator is very much one of those like franchises where if you try and sit down and work out the timeline and how things work, it's got the whole chicken and egg thing, hasn't it?
Yeah. Cool robots.
Yeah, but it sounds cool when you start talking about fate and destiny and, and this is why... I mean, I really thought it was going to go for an idea of that, Chip and MC were, and Jack and Lee as well, were manipulated. And kind
that
of
would have been better.
Cursed or whatever.
If the Kuklaw were maybe not evil, but like very, very morally questionable. Like they're attempting to do the right thing and doing really shady shit to do it, and then it turns out all along with the whole hell being full thing that actually it was a mistake. That would have been a really good plot thing.
Well, it probably is that, because that is ripping off Buffy. Because, when they tell the story of the first Slayer, it's, back in ancient times or, pre whatever, and it's a bunch of men that force a teenage girl to fight for them and imbue her with the power of demons and stuff like that, so she can fight them for her. So I guess I'm kind of ripping off that in the way. So the Kuklaw are actually the Watchers Council.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to really fuck this up, Chip comes up with an idea of going down to hell to try and take it out, as well as destroying the Kuklaw links.
Cool.
Okay.
He decides to just kill everyone. He turns into the Doomslayer. Rip and tear until it's done. Hell yeah.
This is very much like the ending of the season, going into the sort of final movie send-off or whatever, the goodbye episode. Was the idea that Chip is like, this is all dumb, we're not doing anything, we're making things worse, and tries to break the cycle.
Cool. Right.
This runs alongside the hell on Earth because it's getting too full because of everything evil being killed. A balance needs to be restored, and Chip wants to make a stand for free choice.
He's pro-choice. So you kill a bad thing on Earth, it goes down to hell, and there isn't enough room. So there's some demon with a clipboard going, oh, fucking hell, we're going to put this one. Right? Asmodeus, out you go. Come on, back to Earth. I don't care if you haven't finished your tea yet. Fuck off.
So how does that work in terms of like...
if you kill a demon in hell, does it stay dead? Because I think that's a thing in D&D and stuff. Of like, if you kill a demon, it kind of respawns back in hell.
Right.
But if you go to hell and then kill it, then it's like dead.
And did the demons go to hell to be tortured for all the evil that they did, or do they just go and live there like it's a holiday resort?
I think probably that one.
Or is it like a prison?
I mean...
Because if you're a demon, you probably want to go to hell, right? Because you're like, hey, all the cool people are here. This is great. All my friends.
Maybe they only kick out it's very clicky, and they only kick out the demons they don't like.
I guess, in a way, I mean, because it's just notes as well, it's very vague as to, like, the lore.
Yeah.
Because we've already established almost, like, heaven and angels as well.
Yeah, it was vaguely there. Wasn't it sort of like they exist, but it's not quite as biblical?
Yeah, it's not Christianity.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like taking bits of all different religions and faith, I think. And so there is, like, a good place and a bad place, or, like, a force for good and a force for evil.
Sure.
But yeah, I still don't get why demons would go to hell when they died and then be kicked out and come back, because I always thought demons were from another dimension as well, or some of them were.
I mean, it could be that hell is another dimension.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, as opposed to like under the earth sort of thing.
Yeah,
that would make sense, I guess. So Chip is like, well, we'll just go down there and end it all, take out all the big bads. And again, that's kind of ripping off the end of Angel in a way, because he realizes that he can't destroy Wolfram and Hart from the inside, so he just goes kamikaze on them, and So, yeah, ripping off Buffy and Angel. Brilliant. It's, in a way, it's the best way to end the series, I think. The big sleep thing where a female cabbie comes onto Chip. She comes onto him. Nights is best, I work during the day. Wait, what is happening here?
I think this is meant to be lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
So her saying to him, nights is best, I work during the day, or yeah, that's her saying that.
Okay. So after she tails someone, have her become a bit of a character. Her and Chip don't end up together, but Chip speaks to her in the final episode. So we've got a new character.
Okay, sure. And there's sort of like a will they, won't they kind of thing.
Yeah. So female cabbie, I'd imagine she's quite, tough and like, hey, I'll fight a demon, no problem.
Yeah. Maybe she's like Transport, the wheel woman.
More exposition.
Yeah,
hey, I picked up a demon the other day.
He said it was going to end the world.
You ever thought about going to hell and ending it all? Blow up the demon bar? Question mark?
No, poor Mark.
Mark doesn't get any better, does it? He's probably going to be tied up inside when it happens. Mafia trying to get Chip.
Oh, there's a thingy in between. Blow up the demon bar. So the Mafia blow up the demon bar to try and get Chip.
Yeah. Again,
maybe.
Mock is going to just rue the day that Chip came into his life, isn't he?
Is.
Ooh, follow-up New Year's Eve episode. Chip is paranoid after what happened last year, so he goes out patrolling, while Ridley and Kat party. So obviously New Year's Eve in season 1 was when all the bombs went off, so that would make sense. Although doesn't explain what happened. It's just, here's an idea.
It says it's just after Tamara Gayson Christmas episode.
Oh, we didn't. We said we never did a Christmas episode.
Oh, shit.
And there was a chance to do a Christmas episode.
Oh.
God damn it! I wouldn't know what the Christmas episode was going to entail.
So I guess that episode would be like Chip still paranoid, not able to settle down, not able to unplug and turn off the ninja crime fighting demon slaying bit.
Yeah.
And maybe a sort of one of those reflection kind of episodes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he remembers what happened last year, so. And Noir episode of Chip, which is told through voiceover. Have him follow the Mafia's daughter. Oh, good, he's stalking again. So it has to be after he kills vampire lover.
Oh, good.
Okay. She's connected, and Chip wants to find out more about the Mafia.
How would you have done I guess because when you wrote these, you were probably writing this very much picturing it as a TV episode.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd be kind of weird. Can you have a voiceover in text?
Well, I guess I could have written it from first person in a way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, because it's not like they're not scripted like a TV episode,
Yeah.
in this kind of script format. It's written like fiction stories, or like a comic book or something like that. But those two are very different formats to how I write it, which is just like straight up fiction.
Yeah.
So I guess I would have written it in first person. Would have been the way I would have done that. Or would I just been like, oh, everything is in black and white, by the way, and it's raining all the time, and they've all got those hats. I think clearly I'd started watching some Bogart films at this time, though, because it's like a big sleep reference and noir, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing.
This must be after you met Dom.
Episode all about Ridley's past. Ooh. He tries to cure his mutated side. That would be cool.
Yeah. How do you think it would have ended? Would it have been him succeeding, or would it have been one of those things like, oh, it's bad, but it also gives me the power I need to fight demons occasionally?
It might have been like an acceptance kind of thing.
True,
as
that would be
it's part of me. So,
Yeah.
because he really did learn to control it by the end.
Yeah.
So whether or not that's getting worse or not, or he just hears of a cure, maybe he finds a soil cap and he's like, I'll use the blood and I'll get a lead furnace. But yeah, I feel like that would have been a nice episode of him accepting his demon side.
Yeah, it would have been more character development for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be good.
It would have been nice to find out about Ridley's past as well. Because we don't know a lot about him other than he was a grifter, then he went a bit straight, and then he was just there.
I guess the impression is that he was a sort of a New York native turned small-time hoodlum criminal type, but then the whole demon thing happens.
Yes, and there might have been some nice parallels between that and his past and stuff.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Episode where Chip fights a shape-shifting demon, i.e. it comes into contact with a lamppost, it blinds you with light, etc.
We're back. God. We are fucking back. Amazing.
Well, I said I was tying it back into season 1, so here we are with the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I was really scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas.
Transform a demon. turns into a lamppost.
Like, the idea of a shape-shifting demon is cool because it could be anyone, you know?
Yeah.
It could be your friends, your family, just anyone on the street. No, it's a fucking lamppost that blinds you with its light.
I want this demon to be real because it'd be so fucking stupid.
How do you know it's not? Have you seen all the lampposts outside? Oh my god.
I just picture this demon is sort of like adorably stupid. He's like, oh, how am I going to get this ninja? I know. I'll turn into a lamppost.
Can you imagine the mafia call Chip in like, good morning, yep, you're a bit late today, but that's fine, we'll dock your pay. Yeah, so on your schedule today is, it's a shape-shifting demon. Very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Chip's like, how am I going to find it? It could be anything. He's like, no, it's just a lamppost. That's all it can do, just change it to a lamppost. Yeah, wear these sunglasses and you'll be fine.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was the best bit.
Towards the end, Chip takes out the mafia stronghold. Think Kane song. Okay.
Is it Kane, the wrestler?
Yeah, because he has a theme tune that I really like, which would have been around at that time. So I imagine pictured like a sequence to that or something like that.
Sure.
So maybe in my head I could see him taking out the mafia stronghold while that song played.
Right, okay.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Uses a sword, rescues girl.
Oh, what? His underage girlfriend.
Who turned on him?
I know you didn't mean it. I know that vampire must have clapped you back. I have to go to school. Please leave me alone.
Why do I need to mention he's got a sword as well? Like,
yeah,
of course he always uses a sword.
He does use size sometimes.
That's true.
I reckon you just had like a really clear picture in your mind of what it would be like.
Yeah.
With the song and him, a picture of him with the sword.
Yeah. Mafia trying to bring hell forth to use their resources or maybe to conquer it themselves. Girl phones Chip and tells him
this and
that she's in danger.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So run out of rather than going to a new page, I was just trying to squeeze into that last line as much as possible.
Okay, so the mafia, shock horror, are evil.
Yeah. So they want to control hell.
I guess.
So that's kind of similar to Maloney in a way of using the supernatural world for your own sort of like normal world crimes or whatever, or for your power. So they want to. I mean, still we got mafia versus demons, which is cool.
Yeah.
The idea of the mafia attacking hell.
Yeah.
I think I need to turn that into something on its own. Yeah. I need to rip off myself. So maybe the daughter, Chip's love interest, who is 18 now, crucially.
Thank God. It's fine.
She has an attack of consciousness or something like that. So maybe that's why Chip saves her.
Sure.
Yeah. Not a lot of mention of cat so far.
That's very true.
I know these are all sort of broad strokes and stuff like that, and we did have a mention of a Ridley episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Ridley and Cat still would have been essential characters, but there's just no mention of what they would be doing so far. There's a few more notes to go, so maybe we'll come across them.
It's also completely no mention at all of Chip and Cat being a thing, being an item, because that was a sort of long-running thing throughout the first season. And
they seem to have a connection right at the end of the last episode as well, where everything was coming together.
I guess it would be interesting if rather than the whole will they, won't they thing, and then they get together, if they just realise that they're better as friends.
Yeah, I do kind of prefer that as well when, especially, same different sex, just being friends as well, rather than having
it makes a difference
interests.
Because it's so predictable, isn't it? If there's the sort of the male lead and female lead, sooner or later.
And that's why I never liked it when Angel and Cordelia were kind of shoehorned into a relationship.
Yeah.
Or, because I was like, it doesn't really fit. I like them better as friends.
Yeah.
And that never really kind of sat well to me.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Do you not?
No.
So they realise they're in love with each other.
Right. Was it one of those things where it's just like, oh, we're in love with each other now?
It's kind of built up a bit more, but there's a will they, won't they kind of thing. And then Cordelia turns out to be, she's going to become one of the powers that be at the end of the season. Right. She gets taken away.
Right.
And then she comes back and has no sort of memory. Right. And then it turns out she's been infected by Jasmine. And then she bangs Connor.
Don't remember Jasmine. She bangs Connor.
Yeah, she bangs Connor. Do you not remember that? And they give birth to Jasmine, who's like this all powerful being that wants to end the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very good. Have an episode where Chip discovers the world would be better off without the Ku Claw. Hell on Earth, almost. Okay, so that's just kind of covering old ground.
So, are you saying that it is Hell on Earth with the Ku Claw?
I think it's almost like there's more evil on the world than there is in hell now, so it's become more crowded here.
I see. In that case, hell doesn't sound that bad.
No, surely that means there's plenty of room then if all the demons are on Earth.
Maybe they're just really chill in hell.
Maybe they've lost some space and they like their room. Chip and gang fight off a bunch of demons they've fought before, including one of Hell's minions.
Is that like a lame version of the Hell's Angels? Is it the fucking little yellow cunts dressed up in leather on motorbikes?
I mean, Hell would be run by a 50-year-old housewife, so yeah. Chip defeats him in a hellish battle, and the minion confesses that Hell is getting overcrowded because of the things he and MC are killing, and that the Mafia are trying to use this to their advantage.
Interesting. Okay, so this is basically how one of the ways in which Chip finds out.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of getting it straight in my head when I'm writing down ideas of how narratively it's going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Here's Kat. Kat should be doing more of Chip's job, helping people out on the street. The people Chip is ignoring while working for the Mafia.
So that kind of makes sense with her character arc, in that she did want to be good.
Yeah.
And help people and that. So it makes sense that she would sort of take up the mantle.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool. Like I said, that's actually a decent arc for her because, she went from being this person who had no idea who or what she was to wanting to help people and now kind of understanding her power a bit more. And, if Chip's working for the Mafia, obviously they're manipulating him into doing their dirty work and just focusing on the things that are threatening them. Yeah. So Kat's, on the street helping the common man. Yeah, nice. Episode where Chip beds Mafia daughter. Have Ridley and Kat get in on it as well. Wait,
get
what?
It on.
Oh, get it on. They're just all in one bed. Wait, so have Ridley and Kat get it on as well?
That's interesting.
Would that drive a bit of tension in the group?
It's all. I mean, from the sound of it, it's like Chip has basically gone off and done his own thing because he's got his questionably aged girlfriend. He's hanging out with the Mafia all the time. Yeah, and Ridley and Kat are sort of off doing their own thing.
Again, kind of an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, because I mean, it has been the three of them for a long time, so it would be interesting to have them sort of break apart a bit. I guess the danger is that then you have like two separate TV series.
Spin-off! A spin-off from the spin-off! But yeah, it kind of makes sense, because then if you think about how Chip was thinking that he didn't want to be a ninja, or he was worried he was being controlled or anything like that, if he's just off, I don't know, not off the deep end, but just ignoring it or trying to change what he was meant to do, and Ridley and Kat are picking up the slack, and maybe that's how they get close.
That makes sense.
The Mafia say they've taken care of Detective Bentley. Not killed him, just sent him away. Later turns out his body is in a river with concrete feet. Classic Mafia.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, because in a way he was... Is an off-screen death good for him? Because it means that, Chip and Bentley don't have that showdown. There's no resolution there.
I feel like it would be such a letdown. Because the thing is, again, this is our first mention of Detective Bentley, who was such a big part towards the end of season 1.
In a lot of ways, he was a better villain than Grant Maloney.
Yes, almost more layered, because we really didn't know what he was getting up to right till the end as well. I think you kind of said, like, he kind of hedged his bets in a way that if Maloney won, he'd be fine. If Chip won, he'd be fine. So maybe there was an idea, maybe he is around more, and maybe he's more suspicious of Chip again because he's joined the Mafia, or I think there's definitely stuff you could have done with that character. And maybe, I don't know, I don't think it would have just been like, oh, by the way, he's dead. I do think he would have been around and doing stuff, but if he does get killed off screen, that's not as good.
Maybe it's a way of the Mafia trying to sort of get trust from Chip. Like, we've taken care of your problem. And they say it's like in a non-lethal way. It's like, he's living on a farm now.
Or maybe they, again, bribe someone to give him a transfer to some buttfuck town.
They provide a resolution to the Bentley problem for Chip in a way that won't make him feel, that doesn't go against his morals, supposedly. And then he finds out that actually they killed him, and then it's like, another sort of distrust in the Mafia because they've lied to him and they're clearly up to shady shit still.
Nice, I like that, well done. In episode 2, have Ridley give Chip the ornament speech he gave in series 1. Oh, good, I'm glad I brought that back.
The wooden animals.
Oh my God, I was so in love with that speech. It's so lame. Why would he give it again? Chip reminds him he's told him it before. Then in the last episode, he gives the speech to Ridley before he leaves.
Thank God we hear it 3 times. 3 times in Chip.
Because it's clearly so significant and such a big thing. And all the fans would remember it and repeat it off by heart.
People putting on the quotes on their MySpace.
Next to a minion. Episode with epic battle in the wind, in a park with trees falling down, etc.
Again, clearly you've got a very clear idea of something.
Yeah.
And I suppose that would be cool if there's like not just sort of atmospheric windy, but like really, really like a gale, sort of a storm, you know, almost a hurricane kind of thing with like trees going everywhere. And
But could you fight in that? If the trees are
Ninja.
blowing over,
ninja,
gravity.
yeah.
Great. Episode where Chip is given a mobile phone and gets a message along the lines of "Meet me or they die." He tries to find Ridley and Kat and Mafia, but can't. He gets more and more messages. Think the prestige, misdirection kind of thing. Eventually it's revealed it's Jack Bentley come back for revenge.
Ooh.
Chip doesn't kill him, but he gets killed at the end anyways.
Oh, okay.
Wait, so is this Ghost Jack Bentley?
I think this must be before the Mafia kill him. So Jack Bentley is kind of vague, but I guess he kidnaps Ridley and Kat and the entire Mafia. And then the Mafia get revenge on him by, Concrete Feet, River.
Yeah. But then he gets killed at the end anyways.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, so Chip doesn't kill him because he's all like, I don't kill people anymore.
Yeah, or whatever. But
yeah.
And then the Mafia say like, oh yeah, we took care of Jack Bentley. He's fine.
And Chip's like, yes, I definitely trust the Mafia in these
Don't
matters.
go for a swim in the river.
So there we go. There's a bit more explanation of what Jack Bentley's been up to. But I don't know why you take it so personally. Like, unless Jack Bentley got demoted or something, or fired because of what happened. Maybe the Mafia revealed that he'd been framing loads of people, and he got discredited, and that's why the case against Chip was dropped. Because, Bentley forged all the evidence like he had done in so many cases. Because Bentley, he's got so many fingers and so many pies. And he was working with the Mafia at one point as well.
Probably.
So, there's obviously something that's happened there. Because I feel like Jack Bentley as a character would just keep working for the law, keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, is it... So you don't think it's to do with Grant Maloney?
Well, Maloney's dead.
Yeah,
and I don't
like
think
revenge for Grant Maloney
I don't
dying.
think Bentley was that attached to Maloney.
That's true, he was scared of Maloney, wasn't he?
Yeah. And like, if he's got more control of what he does now and doesn't have to answer to Maloney, I feel like Bentley would enjoy that.
Yeah. Maybe this is just you going, oh shit, Jack Bentley. Need to do something with him.
Yeah. And again, there could have been more ideas that I had in my head that I didn't write down about what would have happened to him to cause him to go kidnap people and just really kind of reveal himself, because he played all these cards close to his chest. That was another kind of Bentley trait.
Yeah.
So now he's just like, I've kidnapped Kat, Ridley, the entire Mafia. Woo! Episode called Lonely, where Chip realises all the fakeness in the world.
Oh no, this is the most teenage thing you've written.
Oh,
the Linkin Park.
Oh, it actually sent a cringe down my body.
Yep.
God damn. I feel like it's been a while since I've had a real, probably about 10 minutes actually, since we said 18th birthday. But
there's been plenty of dumb shit, but yeah, like that pure teenage cringe kind of...
Again, it feels like one of those things I would have just picked up the paper and scribbled angrily like, everything's fake! He admits to himself that all his searching to discover who he is, working for the Mafia, even going evil, all result of trying to discover his true identity. Does that kind of fit in with what's happened before? So I think it's kind of saying that the Ku Klux messed him up, messed all the guys up, and that's why they've all gone a bit weird. And it worked with MC, Jack and Lee as well, because although MC didn't go totally evil, he was a shithead for an entire season until his baby died. So maybe that's another thread I was picking up on.
Yeah.
And despite now caring about Ridley and Kat to an extent, there's only one person in the world. His former best friend, MC.
And they get together.
Finally.
Chip's like, just pretend you're a 17-year-old Mafia girl.
Chip turns up with a new DeSoto.
And MC's like, pretend you're a woman who wouldn't drown my car.
Or have kids.
Yeah. Pretend you're fertile.
No problems there. They were great friends, but circumstances and Chip's own mentality meant that fell apart. He wants that back, and this is how he comes up with the whole destroy hell and the Ku Klux thing. Because of everything that has happened, he doesn't believe he'll ever be able to discover who he truly is, that no one can. They are defined by the people they do. Okay.
Sorry.
They are defined by the people they do and don't have around them.
Right.
He is a power fighter meant to fight evil. He takes things to an extreme level. Chip tells MC and the gang all this and tells them they don't have to join him, but they do. Have this episode somewhere near the end. In this episode, Chip makes one final attempt to find himself.
So, okay, Chip is kind of like saying that the whole Kukla thing is so esoteric, so convoluted, so whatever, that he's never going to figure out exactly how it all happened, what it all means, who he is as a result of all the crazy shit that's happened to him. So he's sort of latched onto the thing of being a power fighter. I guess
what that means.
He's meant to fight against power. Or against evil, I guess. So he's sort of like latching onto that as, okay, well, I don't know a lot of things about me, but I do know that this much is true.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's very much a sort of Chip realising that everything, and like we said before, everything that's happened in his life and MC's life and all the other ninjas is been determined by the Kukla. Like they're almost the victims of the Kukla's, not necessarily good fight, just that they have these power fighters to do their bidding, and it just so happens to help people. So I guess he's just, and if he's been manipulated by the mafia as well, he has his evil stint, and a lot of identity issues with Chip. So he kind of feels like, and he mentioned MC like in that kinship of like they're the last two survivors of that class of the Kukla. They're the only ones who kind of really understand, and maybe he's like, I need to go, because again this is feeding into the very end of the season and what's going to happen. So he goes to MC and kind of explains it all, and depending on what's happened to MC in series 5 of Tomorrow Gason, which we'll get to, maybe MC's like, yeah, this is shit, isn't it?
I did lose my car. Everything else was fine.
Maybe return Shin no Khan to Chip.
Drink.
He appeared in the notes. Yay! Oh, I really wish we'd done that last season, because he never got a proper send-off.
He didn't.
He was put into a... Oh, I'm not even going to get into all that. But he disappeared.
Yeah.
So we had to undrink. And they kind of just accepted that he was gone. And in comic books and supernatural series, that's never the case.
He's already a ghost.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unimaginable that he would come back again.
Yeah.
But and I remember, like, I kept thinking, like, nah, he's not dead.
Yeah.
He's not dead.
Because I feel like every character that's come into the show and left again, Tifa, Dom, Jack, Lee, Scoot, all of those, they all had an end.
Yeah.
You saw them die, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Or, like Lee was gone off and doing his thing, but it was kind of established where Shin no Khan was so anticlimactic in a way for such a big character and someone who was so important to them. I like the idea that he comes back, but in Chip.
Oh, is that what it says?
Well, it says, the next line is, it could be another mafia present. Hey,
I know you're like my daughter. Here's your father figure, who maybe betrayed you and made you do a bunch of evil stuff without realising.
But then Shin no Khan could be another victim, because he was part of the Ku
That's
Klux,
true.
so...
He's more of a true believer. But then again, there was that bit where they fought the Ku Klux elders, which might be enough to sort of shake his belief.
Yeah.
And he did when he brought Chip back from hell, it was clearly more than just like a master-student relationship. I think there was a sort of father-son kind of thing there.
And maybe a bit of guilt as well, as to, like, he led him astray. Yeah. And maybe back then Shin no Khan kind of knew that the Ku Klux was responsible for Chip going off the deep end.
Yeah, maybe
he'd seen it before or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just would have been really nice to have Shin no Khan back.
Yeah.
We're a good character.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe return Shin no Khan to Chip. It could be another mafia present. They're taking care of Bentley. Now this. Oh, so they're really trying to win him over. So, okay, we've helped you with your enemy. We've brought back your dead Ghostmaster. Why don't you do this job for us?
And here's some ice cream.
Be interesting to have Ridley be jealous of Shin no Khan, as he is no longer needed as an informant, i.e. exposition.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Kat and Ridley are driven together, because maybe they both kind of get cut off. Because again, Chip's got his mafia family, Shin no Khan's back.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see Shin no Khan's reaction to Chip working with the mafia. Be interesting to have Ridley be jealous of Shinno Khan, as he is no longer needed as an informant. But more importantly, fight with Chip and Shinno Khan. He knows all about the fate stuff, and almost allowed Chip and MC let their lives go the way they go the way they did. Chip could use a sphere ball to take Shinno Khan to another dimension for fight.
So I guess like...
Because he's a ghost.
Yeah, like there was a bit where he got captured in a ball.
Yes, well, when he fought the Ku-Claw ninjas in that other dimension, he was whole.
That's true.
So I guess...
So he traps him in a Pokeball.
I choose you, Shinno Khan!
Let's get hammered, guys!
But that kind of goes with your first theory that Shinno Khan was a part of this, whether consciously or not, and Chip maybe blames him for that. Probably in Mafia takeout episodes. Okay.
They all have a pizza.
Oh, Shinno Khan uses the line,
"Every ninja knows when their time is up,"
etc. At the end of last ever episode, Chip uses this line on MC. After they die...
Spoilers!
It cuts back and MC answers him, saying he thinks it's over.
Okay. That's all over the place.
Yeah. So again, spoilers, but we'll discuss kind of how it was going to end at some point. But There you go, spoilers. So Shinno Khan, every ninja knows when their time is up.
So what, does he allow Chip to kill him as a symbolic thing?
Like an Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of deal?
Or like him sort of representing the Ku-Claw and their hold over Chip?
Yeah, maybe Shinno Khan accepts what he did. Because I
Yeah.
can't imagine Shinno Khan going full evil and be like, you're wrong, the Ku-Claw are the best. Because I think the relationship with Chip and MC has very much been that father figure.
Yeah.
So maybe he understands that Chip needs to destroy him to go out on this mission.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some weird side notes here as well, so let's just look at these. Mafia Girl gives Chip a thumb ring in one episode.
So 90s. Come, my lady, come, my lady. That would absolutely play in the background.
Oh, yeah, brilliant. Mafia Girl gives Chip a thumb ring in one episode, which he later crushes in the spin-off final episode.
Okay, so this is symbolic of more symbols, more symbolism.
Love it.
Of him sort of turning his back on the mafia, cutting off that relationship, maybe.
Yeah, ending ties.
And also being like, I'm not going to date any more children.
Because it seems like Mafia Girl, as her name is apparently, she turns out all right in the end. She warns Chip about the mafia trying to bring hell on Earth.
Sure.
So, but maybe, like you said, maybe he's trying to cut ties to this world as he does his final mission.
Yeah.
Need Bentley more! ! I agree. Mafia tries to kill him, concrete blocks on his feet, Chip lets him live. Okay, so that's just a side note I kind of had.
Oh, okay, but it's sort of it kind of retcons what happened before in that the mafia said that they sent him away, but actually they killed him. But I guess this is another wedge between Chip and the mafia, right?
Yeah.
They say that, yes, we totally sent him away. Don't look over in that river. And Chip's like, I'll go for a stroll by the river. What's that bubbling noise?
Yeah, maybe because if Bentley did kidnap Ridley and Kat, maybe he got the drop on Chip and the mafia saves them or something like that.
Well, didn't it say that he kidnapped the mafia as well?
Yeah,
presumably like the Chip's mafia contacts or whatever.
Yeah, or the daughter or something like that. Episode where Chip thinks he's going mad, seeing things. It's tricks being played on him, so he doesn't discover the truth of the Ku-Claw.
Okay, so this is like the Ku-Claw, because so far it's been like the Ku-Claw has all been in Chip's past, and they almost don't really exist in this dimension anymore.
Yeah.
So, Chip's problem with the Ku-Claw is that, they kind of set him up on a bad path.
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole fate thing. But this is a more active, current thing where they are, at the present moment, still interfering with his life.
Yeah. So are they making him see things?
I think so.
What's the truth about the Ku-Claw is that they are shitheads and they imbued him with power that sent him mad.
Basically, I guess. So,
okay.
I guess he's on the right track to finding out more about them, and then they make him hallucinate and stuff.
I wonder if it's a thing where, like, the Ku-Claw, they imbue people with these powers and then they kind of self-destruct within a few years, so they just get another bunch of new ones. But Chip and MC have kind of outlived that a little bit or something.
Sure.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Unforgiven. Episode where the family member of one of Chip's victims comes back to extract revenge. Now that would be a cool episode.
That would be.
I wonder if it's like the
guy
son of the old lady that he beat to death or whatever. But that's a cool concept, like the consequences of Chip's actions coming back when he's in a very different place.
Yeah.
Could also include other characters' dealings with wanting forgiveness or not being forgiven.
Okay, sure. So, like, Kat certainly has done some stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure the Mafia have.
Yeah.
Yep. Need to work out other characters' journeys, what their arcs are, etc. And that's the end of those notes. And what we have on the next page is some not quite the notes that I would have had for the episodes before, but some vague ideas of what's going to happen in the early episodes. So it goes up to episode 4, I think. No, it doesn't. It goes up to episode 2. Okay. So let's just have a quick look at these and then we'll discuss a bit more about Chip.
Series 2. Episode 1. Chip in prison.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to do this then? Chip, Series 2, Episode 1.
I did it better.
Chip in prison.
Yeah, all right.
Speaking to his cellmate, written this episode down somewhere in brackets.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Lost episode.
I wonder where that is then. He's questioning his life, what happened and how, and why he's never questioned it before.
So, is he just talking to the cellmate? He's like, yeah, so after I was trained by ninjas...
Chip's cellmate is a nice fat guy who befriends Chip. He is also questioning why he has done things in his life. He later turns out to be a murderer who Chip lets die later after he is attacked by the men that are after the ninja. Chip is then bailed out by the Mafia, not discovered in this episode, ?
No, just bracket.
Oh, just bracket. So he doesn't discover that in this episode. Meanwhile, Ridley and Kat have to combine to take something out. They mention they've been getting busier. They are staying at Chip's apartment.
Okay.
So this is very much touching back in all the characters at the start of the episode. Chip is in prison. I guess there's some trouble in the prison. Some men come after Chip.
Sure.
Maybe Bentley sent them or something.
Yeah.
But Chip's got loads of enemies. Yeah. He's probably Mock. And he has a nice fat cellmate.
Who's a murderer.
But I guess Chip finds it out later and he's like, I'm not going to save you from your wound or whatever like that. That's a classic trope, I think, of things like this. And then we've got Ridley and Kat teaming up. And the little mention of things getting busier, you know, how Helena's spitting out more evil.
Yeah, and
setting that up early.
And also Ridley and Kat being sort of a romantic item and also working together and having their own kind of thing going on.
It definitely looks like they got closer in Chip's absence because they didn't really hang out before.
Yeah.
So now they kind of forced to, and so they just get their mates, which is nice. Episode 2. Chip is trying to settle back into his old routine. He eventually finds Kat and Ridley fighting something. He meets the Mafia and the Mafia's daughter. They explain everything and offer him a trial. Chip accepts and is successful in whatever it is. So this is nice and vague.
All right, Chip, your task is to go to get us a coffee.
I know a Costa. After the Mafia tell of something different coming, overall story arc, Chip agrees to accept the job in exchange for info, much to the dismay of Ridley and Kat.
Okay, so I mean, this still adds to Ridley and Kat, like starting their own kind of dynamic duo.
Yeah, and driving that wedge between them as well, between Kat, Ridley, and Chip as well. So we did mention quite early on in the notes as well about this whole apocalypse idea. So maybe there's some sort of like subplot along with Chip realizing how everything is terrible, that the Mafia know of some apocalypse, or maybe there isn't, and they're just convincing Chip there is, so he'll work for them.
Yeah, I guess. It's interesting to wonder whether the Mafia want to use the apocalypse for their own purposes right from the beginning, or is it something they go on to...
I mean, there might not even be one, or maybe they do genuinely want to stop an apocalypse so they can grab power for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and they know they need Chip to do that or something. And then finally, MC, the last thing we have is a bunch of random... episode titles. It was something I used to really enjoy doing because mainly I'd pull them out of Linkin Park lyrics. But just naming episodes. So
it's evocative, isn't it? If you know what the name is, it kind of gives you a thing to hang it on.
Exactly, yeah. So let's just have a look at these. New Year's 2.
Or is it New Year's Squared?
I'd imagine 2, because it's a sequel to the New Year's episode from season 1.
Yeah.
Which is where Chip is all paranoid something bad is going to happen.
It's just you got the 2 in the above, like a little 2 in the air.
Yep, but I don't think it would have been that.
No.
I think it's New Year's 2,
Okay.
the second New Year's. So I'm guessing something bad would have happened in that episode?
Oh, but I mean, you mentioned about how there was... Chip was on patrol on New Year's because he couldn't settle down and sort of just... He was expecting something more.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I just like that there's a sequel to New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
18 Candles.
Yeah, let's skip past that.
Because there is that song, 16 Candles, which is incredibly creepy. You know, the old sort of 60s doo-wop song?
There was some 40-year-old guy singing about how he wasn't both a 16-year-old. A new, a fresh 16-year-old. Like she was 15 a day ago.
At least they updated it to 18.
Yeah.
Last episode. Yep, okay. Ridley episode. Shape-shifting demon. The lamppost. Okay, so these aren't exactly episode titles so much as what the episodes are.
This is like an order, isn't it? Like you've written down all your ideas and then this is you putting them in the order they would...
I don't know, because I don't think it would have opened with New Year's Eve 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Takes out Mafia ×2, so I guess that's a 2-parter. Hell on Earth episode. Noir episode. Phone episode with Bentley. Lonely episode, which we discussed. Shin no Khan returns. Chip Goes Mad episode. Which could be any of the episodes, to be quite honest. Well, MC, that is all the notes we had for season 2.
That's an underwhelming note to end out. Chip Goes Mad episode. That was the end of...
this entire spin-off. Okay, well, firstly then, what do you think about all these weird ideas I had for season 2 of Chip?
There's some interesting stuff in there, and there's more development of Chip, and it is an interesting idea to go from like the Ku Claw being these ancient force for good to this sort of weird, shady, mystical organization that are actually, even if their intentions are good, are actually making the world a worse place.
Yeah.
And for Chip to realize that, and realize that not just when he tried to literally end the world and beat innocent people to death, but like even when he thought he was doing good, he was actually doing bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that thing. It's like where you save one life, but then ultimately down the line you've
the trolley problem thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that would have been a really interesting arc, especially when you've had Chip sort of go from good to evil and then trying to be good and then realizing that he has actually done so many bad things, even, you know, like I said, when he thought he was doing good. That would have been an interesting arc and development, and
it's an interesting idea, at least, isn't it? It's like, obviously, I mean, I don't know if you noticed them, but I wasn't the best writer back then. But you can definitely see, God, it's hard to praise this, but like the ambition or the attempts at doing something, especially using the lore that we've had throughout the whole show, and bringing it back, and I think that's kind of intriguing.
It's difficult when you got such a long thing. I don't know how many thousands of words this is. But it must be like a novel's worth at least.
Yeah, probably.
It's difficult to keep all that stuff in your head and sort of refer back to it. So that is impressive.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's in the spin-off as well, as opposed to like Tomorrow Gason, the main show. So I'm looking forward to seeing what MC and the gang are up to. Well, MC's probably just in bereavement counselling the entire time.
It's like, is it normal to feel happy? Is it normal to feel like just a big weight has been lifted off your shoulders?
But what I really like as well is that we've got you can see kind of how I was trying to be a bit ambitious with it and had these ideas. And then there's things like the reformed mafia and a lamppost. So it hasn't completely changed, and it's nice that we've still got those really dumb things in there. Keep it grounded in the Tomorrow Gason world. I think one thing I'm maybe disappointed in is, like, I feel like we built up some interesting characters in, like, Kat, Ridley, and Bentley, and they're not mentioned so much in the notes. Obviously, what I would normally do is 15 episodes per season, so I think there would have been in there a lot more, but it seems I hadn't fleshed out those ideas, and what I really had was kind of almost the main storyline of, like, here's Chip, and, like, he's going to work for the mafia, and through that he's going to learn about his roots, and end up trying to take out the Ku Claw and all the evil in the world. But I would have liked to have seen more about what was going to happen with those guys. Yeah,
it feels like we got the first half of their arc, of them, you know, sort of being kind of estranged from Chip and kind of doing their own demon fighting thing by themselves. But like, what's the what's the resolution to this? Especially if it turns out that fighting demons isn't actually the best idea ever.
Yeah.
So, like, are they there to, like, I don't know, if Chip does succeed in sort of pruning down the demons, are they there to stop the excess of demons? Are they sort of like a pressure valve? Do they give up and settle down on a farm?
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? It's like, I mean, what I know from my memory as well is that at the end of this season, Chip leaves New York and he goes to see the gang.
Yeah.
So he tells Cat and Ridley, like, I've got this plan. We're going to go to hell and we're going to try and take out all the evil and the Ku Klux and all that.
Yeah.
And he tells them not to come. He basically says, I think, because the idea is that, okay, so yeah, maybe in the moment you don't know that this one person you're going to save is going to end up killing 3 people because another demon will be spit out.
Sure.
You can only do what's in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think he's like, you need to keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
And keep saving people because that's still important.
Yeah, and
know?
I guess they can save people without killing a bunch of demons.
Yeah, exactly. But in a way, it kind of feels like we do them wrong because they do become very important characters.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they're not there for the big ending. But I did
Yeah.
try and keep the big ending to the original 4.
Which makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
It's the way to sell out the show, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that, I tried to bring in a bunch of new characters as well, because I imagine there would have been some mafia figures that would have been the higher-ups that Chip deals with, the daughter.
The cab driver?
The female cab driver that was mentioned, like, once.
I think you probably just had an idea for a cool cab driver.
Yeah,
and you're like, I want that.
And obviously we have some more Bentley before he's killed off. I'm sure Mock would have been around to be beaten up again.
Getting blown up.
Hopefully Bites would have come back.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that was season 2 of Chip. So what do you think of the spin-off idea overall, MC? Obviously, a nice attempt to stroke my own ego by naming the show after me and have it set around my character. And obviously ripping off the whole Angel and Buffy thing as well. But how do you think Chip turned out compared to where we left them in Tomorrowgason? Was it worthwhile doing the spin-off? And how did you think about the show in general?
In a way, it was kind of an opportunity to kind of reset Tomorrowgason while continuing it.
Yeah.
So you can have that sort of first season dynamic before you're bogged down too much with all the sort of the backstory and the history and all that stuff. I think my favorite. I mean, there's been so many good bits. Like, it's been worth it just for that. And also, I think Chip needed his own space away from the gang because he had too much history. Because he did try to kill them and end the world. That's a difficult thing to get past. So he needed his own series to kind of have that character arc and development and come to terms with himself and his past and what he's done.
Yeah, I feel with the break, like, it would have been too much to try and deal with that within one series. You know, like we had Chip coming back and him trying to get back into with the gang.
Yeah,
clearly didn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it didn't end with them just being like, he's all right now, he's fine, and then just going back to the status quo.
Yeah.
So I can justify it in that way. But I mean, totally from my point of view, it was like, I want to do a spin-off where
I'm cool.
I'm cool, and I have a black coat, and it's awesome, and it billows in the wind. But yeah, from my perspective, obviously, like, it's not always easy going through these episodes because you see kind of my mindset as it was like 17, 18 years ago, and in a way it's nice that I can see how much I've changed and learned and grown as a person. But that's kind of always the hardest bit sometimes, is being like, why was I so negative about the homeless? Like, why was that my point of view? Why is there all this like homophobia and body shaming and all these horrible things? But you can justify it and say it was a different time, and that sort of thing was more widely acceptable in
and also you
the
were
mainstream.
A teenager. You hadn't yet tried to gone evil and tried to end the world, and then found out about yourself with the help of the mafia. We've all been there. It's just something that happens to in your 20s.
So it's nice to see that I've grown as a person. And I think the other hard part is kind of just seeing all the angst and like come out in those kind of things as well, where it's like, I am sad, but I don't know how to convey this, so I'm going to put it in a episode about a demon lamppost. That's been kind of the tricky part for me, is seeing that come out. But again, nice to see where I am now compared to where I was then, and I'm able to kind of talk about those feelings.
And it was a relatively healthy outlet.
Better than summoning the wand to try and end the world.
Better
than my fictional counterpart.
You didn't get into heroin. It was either Tomorrowgason or heroin, and I don't know which is the lesser evil.
But yeah, I'm glad it was fun, because I felt like Chip did feel kind of different to Tomori Gason a lot of the time as well. And, and obviously Buffy and Angel feel quite different a lot of the time as well. So obviously that's my inspiration. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. So I'm glad
we should put a hint in the podcast title.
So it's nice that I could see the difference as well.
Yeah.
But
being able to write in two different styles is, that's an accomplishment.
I don't know about styles. They had different stories.
They had different feels to them sometimes.
Yeah, slightly. Like, obviously, season 4 to Morgason is the most depressing thing in the world.
It really is.
So there's kind of a similarity.
It was a different kind of dark. It wasn't like Chip was like, "Ooh, this is so dark." Morgason is like, "Oh, this is depressing, isn't it?"
Yeah, there's dark and there's depressing.
Yeah.
And that's what we had in the last 2 seasons. Well, that is a goodbye from Chip, not like me, but like as in the show, the spin-off. Oh. We will talk more about, I know we kind of spoiled it anyway, but how I was going to end the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But first, we have to take a look at Series 5 of Tomorrow Gason, which will be coming later on this week, MC. Mm-hmm. So that's all that's left to say for the final time in Chip. Mm. Is if you want to get in touch, if you have any thoughts and feelings, or you want to yell at us about the final season of Chip, did you know there's numerous ways in which you can get in touch? You can find us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/HowIRippedOffPodcast.
And we're also on Twitter at HowIRippedOff.
And you can find our entire back catalogue on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
And I'm going to try not to guilt you into doing this, but we would really appreciate a rating and a review. We're on so many different platforms, and we don't have many reviews, to be honest. But this is your chance. We've discovered that killing demons is actually bad because... So this is your opportunity to do good in the world by leaving a review for a podcast. I mean, I don't want to use the word hero, but... Be a crime-fighting, supernatural hero ninja and leave a review.
Yeah. Okay, now I have to pick up on a thread of that to try and do my bit. Leave us 5 stars based on how you feel like you've been sucked into the depths of hell listening to this.